I don't get this book. People tell me I don't get this book a lot, and um, now I've come up with a book that I don't get. It's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. I'm rereading it, and I can recite all the things that happen in it and all the characters, and I can even talk a little bit about the themes, but I feel like there's something missing. So rather than talk about the book, I'd like to talk about just chapters 4 and 5 of this, and that's the encounter with between Rick Deckard and Rachel Rosen. Um, uh, and one of the first things I can do now that I know that I'm stuck is divide it into sections. So Rachel and Rick meet on the top of page 37, and the first phase of their relationship is the animal phase, and that starts on page 38, where Rick is looking at their animals. Um, uh, and this is the first of maybe 4 phases of this encounter. And so dividing into phases is the first thing I'm going to do. And now I'm going to think about characters and what do they want and why do they want it and what's in their way. For Rick, through this whole thing, he is there for information. He's there to test a test to make sure that his Voight-Kampff scale that he uses to distinguish android from human works. He doesn't want to be there. He's pretty convinced of it. If its effectiveness, but his superior made him go, and so he is. The question in my mind is, what are Rachel Rosen and Eldon Rosen really playing at? And I'm not really like the first thing he said that happens is that Rick gets a load of their animals and can't believe how many they have. And they have an owl, which he thought were extinct. We learn later on that that actually owls are extinct, and they're just lying. It's an electric owl posing as a real one, just like Rick's electric sheep. But why do they lie to him? And it's an elaborate lie, too. Um, is it just to show off their power? Um, but presumably they have enough real animals to really to do that anyway, unless all those animals are electric, but surely they have enough money to buy real animals. It's a weird move. And the book never discusses this, but surely lying to a police officer is illegal on some level. Um, so that's my first question: is why do they lie to Rick about the owl? So now I've got some instead of just saying, "Hey, I don't get this book." Now I have a question. Why do they lie to Rick about the owl? And it's good to have a question. And my hypothesis is that they do it to make themselves look even more powerful than they are and to dazzle him. So that's the hypothesis. The next phase happens on page 41 of this edition, well, where he asks, "What have you got against me?" And she says, "Well, you're just a little police department employee, but you could really mess up our operations." And they seem afraid of him. In fact, Rick thinks they're afraid of me here on page 42. Because maybe they'll have to stop making the Nexus 6s, and that's their entire output right now. If you can't tell a Nexus 6 from a human, I guess that's illegal, and they'll have to stop. And this moment of Rick feeling powerful lasts for all of about 2 pages, because on page 43, he sees that they have an advance copy of the Sydney's February supplement, which isn't going to be out for another 3 days. And it says, annoyed, he picked up the supplement. This is a violation of public trust. Nobody should get advance news of price changes. As a matter of fact, this might violate a federal statute. He tried to remember the relevant law, found he could not. I'm taking this with me, he said, and opening his briefcase, dropped in the supplement within. Yeah, so he's once again awed at how much money they have and how many, the thing you spend your money on in this world is animals. So how many animals they can get and their influence. And he tries to reassert his power by taking this out. Now he begins to test Rachel Rosen. There's a little moment of exposition where Rachel's like, oh, what's this test? And he says, well, I'll explain how the test works to you. But he's really explaining it to us, the audience. It's classic exposition technique. Authors use it all the time. The test really begins on at the beginning of chapter 5. It's pretty obvious what Rick wants again. He wants to find out whether or not Rachel is an android. It's still not clear what Rachel and Eldon are playing at here. And finally he says, okay, you're an android. And they say, oh no, she's not. She grew up on this spaceship. And that's why she can't pass a Voight-Kampff test. And actually, she's failed many Voight-Kampff tests. Your test is inaccurate, and you can't go and retire any more androids. But I don't understand why that would... And they say, we have you, Mr. Deckard. Why would they want that? Who cares? Like, the androids are escaping to Earth, but they can't be on Earth. They sell androids to colonists on Mars and elsewhere. I don't know why they would care once the androids escape what happened to them and whether the police could retire them or not. Nor is it clear why exactly they have him. He's at a disadvantage, but it's not clear that they have gained any advantage in this. And then we get to the last section of this, the bribe, where they offer him an owl. It's not even clear what they're offering. Well, I think they're offering him an owl. I think they're offering him an owl to keep quiet about the fact that his test didn't work. Tell him he could have his owl. But why exactly that would benefit them, I don't really understand. The denouement of the scene, though, is when Rachel keeps calling the owl it. And on the basis of that, Rick decides to give her one more question. And he does. And she fails again. And then he says, you're an android, Rachel, and I know it. And Eldon admits that, yes, she is an android. And she didn't know it until just now. And she's had a false memory implanted. Oh, and then they admit that there are not, in fact, any owls. That's here on the top of page 56. So again, I have this this question of what they were playing at. And Rick says at the end, the Rosen Association does a good job, makes a good try anyway at protecting its products. But the escaped Andries aren't really its products anymore. They're not saleable merchandise. They're already sold. And I'm not sure that anyone wants a former runaway android anyway, so it's not clear to me what the Rosen Association has in mind here. Rick knows that they are devious, however. And indeed, Rachel Rosen's motivations will be obscure to me for the rest of the book. It is possible that she actually does feel some empathy with the androids who are going to be killed by these bounty hunters. And that's really the best thing I can come up with at the moment. And that's what her motivation is. But again, I'm not convinced that I have the answer there. I think that there's a part of this book that I'm missing. So I'll try to repeat this process again at another crucial chapter, the St. Francis Hotel chapter, and see if I get any further in figuring out, what's this book really about? I think this is good practice for us as human beings, because we are going to be constantly in situations where another human's behavior is unfathomable to us. And focusing in on moments may help us understand each other. And asking questions may help us understand each other, and develop hypotheses and testing them may help us understand each other. And that's what the business of the humanities is really about. Thanks for listening.